Hey, guess what showed up? I got a steering wheel. Now, this is what I gotta do. I'm actually, before I say anything else, I'm super jacked. The other bud from here to my face of my dash is the exact same distance, like to a T, like it perfect. Oh, all the measurements really paid off. So here's what I gotta do now. Throttle. We need to cut a hole in the dash where we're gonna put the throttle. So I marked it out what I wanna do, and then I'm gonna drill 2 1-inch hoses or holes and then cut out the piece that I don't want. So Nick's using the drill press, so I'm gonna use a hand drill deal and make some holes. You know what, we'll take this over to the bench over there by the welder. We'll clamp it tight down to the bench so I'm not messing with this a little bit. So the other 5 1/4 bud has a 1-inch slot where the throttle goes up and down. So I'm going to copy that. All right, here we go. This is what I got planned for this. I'm basically copying the other one, so I don't have to like rethink the wheel. But I also have to make it my own way because the dash is slightly different in some ways. Pretty similar, but slightly different. So here's a 2.5 chunk of round stock by 2 inches wide. And here's some 2-inch wide flat iron. And what I'm gonna do is this flat iron, I've made a mark where the center is gonna be of that wheel. And this will be welded inside, back in there, and it stays with the dash. And then there's going to be a hole drilled all the way through. Then on that hole, I'll have to make a pivot point for this to rotate. So then it can go back and forth. And then after that, you have a rod sticking through the dash, bent around the steering wheel, and that's your throttle. And on the back side of this, you'll have a rod sticking out and a couple adjustments for your linkage to connect to, and then you can go up and down. Now, that tractor over in the building is set up with a D throttle, so there's a foot pedal in the bottom of the floor that you push it, it'll throttle it down if you have your throttle up, and then you let go and it throttles back up. We never really use it, so we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna put the one on the dash. So I gotta cut a hole in this, cut a hole in that, and then I gotta decide on what I wanna use to pivot this on. Either use a bolt of some sort, which is probably the best thing actually. Yeah, I'll probably use a bolt to let it pivot on. And the reason why you guys are thinking, well, why do I have it so stinking massive for a round stock? Well, I gotta drill into it and tap into it for the rod for your throttle to stick in. So that's why. So this here, it's a little overkill because I love it. We're adding any weight we can to this tractor. But anyways, I made a collar on this side for more strength to keep this bolt centered. So as you can tell, it rolls really well. I gotta take this, figure out exactly where I want to weld it, and it's gotta go in here, like so. Goes in here. All right, I got it pretty much tacked where I want it to be. I'm not gonna weld it all the way in because I need to figure out side-to-side motion. It's square, vertical, and level, but for me to figure out exactly how to do that, I need to take my roller here off drill and tap for the rod to go through. That way, when I adjust the rod up and down, I'll know exactly which way to tilt it, because if I weld it all solid, it could be crooked like this. And yeah, anyways, I gotta get it squared up. So that's the plan. I gotta find the center of that, and then we'll drill it out. We should be good. So far, I like how it's turned out. I flatten out the top, so then when we have a locking nut, or a jam nut they should call, it'll stop it from rotating. So let's see what happens now. This end, like so. Ah! Now let's get this thing right. Now I need to twist it a little bit. I'd say that's pretty good. Now the next step I need to do is work on building a control arm over to adjust the throttle with, so I need to go find myself some 1/2-inch rod and thread one end, bend it a couple times, and then we should be good to go. Alright, now that I got the end threaded, I got my jam nut on there. And then we're going to screw that in there. Okay. Now I got to figure out where I want to bend this thing at. Yeah, somewhere in there. That's a good spot. Okay. Let's take it off. Let's go tweak it a little bit. I might have, okay. As far as what angle I could go over to the other tractor and get it exactly the same, I think I'm going to wing it and just see what happens. It's going to be a couple times of back and forth. I'll have to put the steering column or steering wheel back on so then I know exactly where to pull it back over. So basically it's going to be a zigzag. It's going to be straight, zigzag over, and then up. But now, since I bent it, I'm not going to be able to screw it in like I used to. So what I'm going to do is remove this, turn this on first, then put it in. I need to go get my steering column or steering wheel. Now I have bent it, so tweaked out a little bit, facing out of the steering wheel, which is kind of what I wanted to do, just to see what it looks like. And then we'll get a better understanding. Okay, there's a lot of work going into this tractor. Feels like we're literally building a tractor from scratch. Now I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than my Marc, just so that we have extra to play with. And then when we get the seat in the tractor, we can feel and see what it looks like for lengthwise, but boom diggity.
I guess the next step for me is I'm gonna start putting senders all over everything. So this is an oil temperature sender. This is gonna go in the front differential. I've got the cap off right there. The problem is there's no ports on these axles. There's not even a breather port. We've looked up and down all around and I can't find it. I don't think there is one. It really should have a breather on it for atmospheric pressure changes and temperature. It's just gonna change pressure and then you can blow seals out. I don't know how. They just, cat never had it in it, so. Anyways, top the levels off the planetaries. We had these down because they were leaking. I think we got them sealed and fixed. That's how I found out that I took the plug out, there was a vacuum and I could hear it like suck air inside. I'm like, there's gotta be a breather. Anyways, I have no place to put that sender in that axle, but we want axle temp senders because that's critical for when your axle gets hot. For some reason the oil leaks out, you don't know it. You wanna know if it's getting hot. So this plug's in the front, it's gonna get oil splashed on it a bunch. Be sitting in the front there, so I'm gonna drill a hole through this plug and tap it, so that way I can screw that sender in there. We'll do that with front and back axle, and then run a wire up to the cab. Let's drill. Oh, that is some soft metal. Well, I dug through our taps, and the one I need it's pretty chewed up, but I guess we'll try it anyways, so see if I can get this thing to tap out. If it works, we're good. If it doesn't, oh boy, we're in trouble. Let's just double check and make sure that's the right threads. I think we're good. Oh yeah, real good. Really good. Perfect. All right, those looks like some nice threads to me. Oh, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. Beautiful. You see the sender sticking out underneath there? Perfect. Now to do number 2, and let's just keep rolling. I got a lot of senders to put this tractor. A lot of temperature, pressure. We'll go through them as we go. Front and rear axle are done. So now this is the chain case, or we call it divider box. You guys have probably seen this a number of times. Big chain in there. It's a variable, or what do they call that? High speed. Oh, I almost said it. Anyways, it's a cool chain, inverted. So it drives 2 big sprockets in here with an idler sprocket. We're still waiting on the chain. It's over in the UK somewhere, being finished up right now. So that's what we're told. Should be hopefully on its way soon. But there's no ports in this big old massive case to put a temperature sender. That one right there is for your chain pin, to disconnect your pin to take the chain out, and I don't want to use that because it's probably gonna hit the chain. So your best bet, which we've done in the past, is either you've got a small port in your cover here, which oil will splash on, so you'll get decent reading there, or your fill level. This is your full, when the oil's full, it comes out of here. So what I'm thinking, and this is what I've done in the past, we've used this plug. I'm gonna drill a hole through that and tap that. And then we'll screw this back in here and have the plug stick out right here with the wire. And then if you ever got to check the oil or fill it back up again, just unhook the wire, just like the axles. Bring it out, screw it back in, put the plug back in. Got it? Let's drill it. Waiting on the vise. We have another one in the shop, but I don't feel like walking over there. I'm patient, I'll wait. Okay, that's done. Let's climb up top the tractor. Yep, oh, yep, those are still open. Gonna do some more blowing and vacuuming and dusting and mopping and all that good stuff. Still not sure they're quite clean yet, so we're gonna get there. Transmission. Just looking at this, I'm pretty sure that's our transmission temp sender, because these are the cooler lines that run to the tube and shell right there. So that would make sense that they would want the hot, which probably comes out here, runs into the tube and shell. I bet the cool returns right there. So the pressure line though for this transmission, I'm not sure where that is. There's 2. There's something right there. I gotta look at that. Almost like a breather though. So I'll dig around some more, but I'd be willing to bet a bunch of money that there is the temperature sender. So, just forgot to put this on it. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to get a socket on that one. Let me sit down up here and get a better angle at this so I don't slam my knuckles into something or twist this off. Or I could just grab the impact gun. There we go. That's definitely a temperature sender right there. Okay. That's a whole piece too. All right, well, I gotta find an adapter. I don't have anything in the shop that'll work, but I'm kind of thinking since I'm not gonna use this sender, maybe we just slice the end off, and drill a hole through the center of it and tap it and see what happens. And I might be able to put this inside that, like so. Let's try it. Now there's a pretty good chance this sender is fine. I don't know if though the gauge is compatible, if the voltages would be correct for it to give proper readings. So we're gonna stick with the sender that came with the gauge because, well, it should probably work. Let's drill. Well, they had an insert inside there and that came out and it is just a little bit bigger diameter than the threads are, so I won't be able to tap it. I'm kind of thinking actually drilling this out a little bigger so there's more room for that sender, and then I'm just going to take this and JB weld it inside there. Or I could go to town and try to find the right fitting. All right. She's gooped up. It's going to let it cure. It'll be ready tomorrow. Got two pressure senders here. One's a high pressure up to 300 PSI. The other one's a low pressure up to 100 PSI. High pressure is going to go in right here in this block. That's the main transmission pressure. And then down on the side, underneath these two lines, is a low pressure, and that will show shifting and other stuff as we're going. So just more information about the transmission. And then leg arms found the right fitting. So he redid it. So the temperature sender's correct now. So let's put these in, and then technically we'll be done with the transmission, cooler, and sender lines. There we go. All right, this is the engine water temp sender right here in the block. Thermostat's in here somewhere. All right, oil pressure sender. This is the filter housing. We had to make a few adapters to get this to work, but there we go. Good. All those are good. Just got to do the hydraulic temp sender, the voltmeter, air pressure sender, then the boost gauge, your exhaust gas temperature gauge. I think that's it.
We have some more wheat that we got to haul in. I got the new Blue Pete, or the new repeat, and there's Kobe. The problem is, it's a good boy. The problem is he can't ride in this truck because he has non-detractable claws. They don't want any of the interior scratched up, so, or the seat dirty. Boy, mine don't retract. And after being in the shop a little bit, there we go. I'm dirty, but they let me go ahead. I guess got senior priority. But I think for them, my abilities are probably a senior discount. So anyway, yeah, so I'm in the new Pete, got it full. The Cool International is ready to roll. Brandon's coming out, and he's gonna run that one. And so we're gonna haul some grain today, a little bit tomorrow. We won't get it all hauled in, but we'll get a chunk of it. Okay, I think the air's built up now. All right. Poor Kobe. I know. If I was running that other Pete, then yeah, he could go ahead and ride, because he's already marked that one up. Scratch that. All right, so anyway, yeah, you guys can come along for the adventure. It is nicer hauling this time of year than 6 months ago. I mean, of course, it looks like I'm dressed up for 6 months ago. You know, it's probably, I think I looked at it, was 43 degrees. It's got about an 18-mile-an-hour wind out of the northwest. Little spits of rain, really light shower, but it's about over. Let me get my, there, I can breathe. Okay, heading down to the elevator. Okay, I'm at the elevator there. I got here about 8 o'clock. They're just getting it ready to open up. The process we do is, if you look back there, you can see the probe ready to go down into the load and pick up some samples. This card here, you press against the reader panel, and then it tells who's hauling, so they can get that prepared, and then when we go in there, we'll tell them what it is. But yeah, they're just waking up, so, and then Brandon will be down here in a little bit, and then we'll start this process over and over and over and over and over again, and then it'll be over again till the next time. So yeah, it's an easy run. I know you guys are envious, those who have to go 40-50 miles or more to the elevator. We've got 3.5 and downhill both ways. Yeah, right. Now at least we go uphill empty, but it's just you know, it isn't doing any more rain, and we're pretty much done. The windshield didn't even hardly get a few specks on it, so we're hoping for more. The crop, I'll give you a quick crop condition as of this moment. Not good. It's very, very poor. It's the winter wheat really is, you know, it's decided. Well, it's already decided to, you know, knock out a bunch of tillers and just work with a couple, and then see if it can finish out. There you go. I was just waiting for the probe, so you can see the probe as a suck a sample of the grain to test it for all kinds of things. So anyway, they'll be done, and then I can head on in.
I know this isn't the shop. I've been occasionally stepping away from the shop and doing some acres with the sprayer. This is our first chem fallow operation, or you could say burn down. This land was wheat last year. It's going to sit nothing this year. We're going to keep everything dead on it. And then hopefully it'll get a little bit of moisture reserve built up in the ground. And then next year, this will probably be spring wheat. And then with the reserve of moisture in the ground, it'll hopefully yield better than the way the recrop's been yielding. So that's why we kept following. But this is the first of probably 4 operations. I do have a weeded system equipped on Big Bird, a spot spray system, but I am not using it for the first pass because there is so much growing the first pass that the spot spray systems basically are useless. You're better off just doing a blanket coverage of everything to make sure you get all the little grasses, all the little plants that are growing, burn them down, and then the new growth that comes up, there'll be a few here and there, and that's where the spot spray systems like the weed ends shine. So we'll get to that in about 3 weeks. But for now, Big Bird and me are buddies. And back to Big Bud. So if I'm not in the Big Bud videos, where I am. Somebody's got to do it. Still a farm to run, I know. I'd rather build tractors right now than kill weeds, but it's all good. Thanks for watching, guys.